Hey there, I'm meteorologist Jamie Singleton. We're looking at a flooding event, I think, coming up as early as tomorrow morning and going into the day on Saturday into Saturday night. A lot of locations through the Old Dominion, Virginia, into the Carolinas are going to see some serious flooding. And this is because we've seen repeated rounds of rain. Not everyone has seen this, but we've had areas that have had storms, and underneath those storms, it has rained to beat the band over the past couple of days. So there are isolated spots where the ground just can't take any more moisture. Now, what we're going to see for tomorrow is going to be more of a soaking general rain, but it's going to get started pretty early. In fact, it's already starting now in northwest North Carolina. I'll show you the big pattern first, but I mean, we're talking about 2, 3, 4-inch rainfall amounts. Some areas could be looking at 5 inches plus through Saturday night if some of these models verify, and the pattern certainly supports it. You've got a big ridge of high pressure, record heat out here across the desert southwest, and hot weather all the way up the Great Basin here. One short wave and some embedded convection and stronger storm severe weather here approaching the Great Lakes here going through Minnesota. And then you've got, as you zoom in a little bit further across the southeast, you've had this persistent troughiness kind of just sitting in here. This is the upper levels, but at the surface you've also had a stationary front in here and little waves of low pressure that have been riding out of the east side of this trough. One such wave is now Tropical Storm Kyle, expected to maybe bring some high rip currents and some high surf there just to the portions of the northeast there, just to the east of Boston around Martha's Vineyard. But this is going to continue to move Kyle as a tropical storm off to the north and east, predominantly away from land. Shouldn't forget the fact that we also have Josephine, also a tropical storm, expected to weaken into a depression and curve to the north. One of the reasons why these storms aren't really affecting the lower 48 is because we've got our own storm to deal with. We've got, all this soupy air that's in place. So disorganized showers and thunderstorms continue here. And you can see some of the, let's see, we'll put this in motion and zoom it in a little bit more, but you can see how some of this isn't really moving all that much, and that has been the one of the main culprits in terms of the flash flooding that we've seen. There hasn't been a lot of wind to move these areas of storms around. But this is an overall large-scale dip in the jet stream, and we're finally going to see this front begin to pull south as we go through the rest of tonight into Saturday, for the day on Saturday. What that's going to do is it's going to set up an overrunning rain where we see cool air at the surface wedge itself in. Typically we see this a lot in the spring and fall. It's going to feel a lot like fall for a lot of areas tomorrow for Saturday, because temperatures may not get out of the 60s and 70s in some communities, and it's going to be raining all day long. Temperatures tonight, let's see if I can find any of this cool air around. And you can see that we're in the 60s and 70s already. So these temperatures will not be budging much with all the moisture headed north with this low pressure system tomorrow. So I want to show you that. Got a lot to talk about. So let's look at the bigger picture showing the water vapor. And this is Kyle, and here is our main vort. You got the drier air in the yellow and all the moisture here pulled into the southeast. We are starting to see more movement now to the individual cells, but there's not much action happening tonight just yet. But we're going to see things flare up again for the day tomorrow. On a local level, still some existing flash flood advisories that were in effect a little bit earlier. Not much going on at the moment. And on the SPC mesoanalysis page, if you look in the upper levels of the atmosphere, we should be able to see, and we do, a trough here across the Mississippi River Valley, a ridge here across the southeast that's kept precipitable water values, watts as we call them, up around 2 inches. And that's plenty enough for some heavy rain. In fact, some of the rain that we've been getting, again, has been totaling over an inch in under about 20-30 minutes or so. At 850 millibars, you've got low pressure over Tennessee. You've got high pressure to the north, so our winds are being brought in from the east and then out of the south. And so everything's just kind of coming together here to support the rainfall. Here is the HRRR model, and it goes into effect, goes through this evening, going into tonight. Sporadic activity across a lot of the mid-Atlantic, and then as we go into the day on Saturday, watch this main wave start to show up even in the near-term guidance, so that by 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, which has been happening here lately. We've been seeing convection flaring up in the middle of the night. That's because the air is just so moist, and it's going to happen again probably tomorrow, but this will be more as a result of our wedge getting more pronounced into the area. And I wanted to show you, here we go, how that looks at the surface. So I showed you a lot of the dips here in the upper level part of the weather system, weather setup that we've got. But as you go through the night tonight, what's happening already is that front is getting pulled down from the north. And you could argue that it's an in situ edge as the drier air is being brought in from the northeast, and then you've got rain falling into that. Yeah, it's going to help create the wedge and help reinforce it. But there's also the fact of the matter is that front is moving in from the north. And so that's going to just give us a general rain along and north of the front for most of Saturday. You can see it just lots of moderate to heavy rainfall here throughout the day. That's by the afternoon. It's a slow moving low pressure system. But there's also going to be embedded areas where over top of the cool dome, you're going to see some embedded heavier rainfall, and that will still be able to wring out some torrential downpours throughout the day Saturday. So this is going into Sunday, and the low is still down here across the upstate of South Carolina. Finally, by Sunday morning, stuff starts to break apart a little bit. The moisture does, but you've got another front here off to the west. And this is where your upper pattern becomes so important to look at. You still have a dip in the jet stream. The lead shortwave starts to move east by Sunday, but still one more shortwave out behind that before finally it clears out, I think, for Monday going into Tuesday. We'll talk about beyond in just a second, but it is going to return, back to just rain, at least an unsettled pattern again as we go into next week as well after a dry Monday. So we've had the slight risk of excessive rainfall, basically flooding in the yellow throughout much of Southwest Virginia, Western North Carolina into Kentucky and Tennessee throughout today. Look what happens tomorrow. We go from slight to now a moderate risk, and that now is for Southside Virginia right up to Roanoke, Richmond, south into South Hill. Looks like Chesapeake going all the way to Danville and to Eden, North Carolina, includes Franklin County, includes Henry County. Most of our area is just about all of our areas in the slight risk, but the moderate risk is a 20 to 50% chance of rainfall exceeding flash flood guidance within 25 miles of any point. Bottom line, it's going to rain hard and probably going to flood in a lot of areas. So there's probably going to be a flash flood watch out late tonight and into the day tomorrow, at some point issued for a good part of the area. I apologize for keep clearing my throat here. I've got the allergies, I believe. Now as we go into day 3 here, finally stuff starts to move off. We get this a little bit farther to the east, but still a marginal risk of excessive rainfall for the Delmarva. QPF, this is what WPC has, and this is just day 1 and the day 2. You've got amounts here that are pretty high. I know a lot of this, again, has been very spotty in nature, hasn't been, for everybody. But I think this rain coming up tomorrow is going to be for everybody. So I see a good 1.5 here. I see 2.5 inches in some of the higher totals, and I even see up to 3 inches, close to 4 inches in some of these brighter spots across the New River Valley into the foothills of northwest North Carolina and the southern Blue Ridge. And you expand it out to 7 days, and you can start to see the hinting at another wet pattern coming up for next week. So this is going to be a serious rainfall event. In fact, the HRRR model, this is for Roanoke itself, but this is the radar forecast here. As we go through the rest of tonight, this is the radar, returning those moderate echoes, then the heavier echoes and the yellow and the orange But again, by 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, we could have an area of rain. And then the HER model, this was the 20Z version of that, had 2.1 inches of rain over Roanoke by morning tomorrow. Now, I don't see that happening unless, again, everything develops just the way the model thinks. But it does give you an idea of the potential because only a couple of showers or storms would do this. We have so much humidity in place, the sponge is full. That's what your precipitable water is, and it's at 2 times what it normally is. So when you go to wring it out just a little bit, you're going to get a lot of water from it. And that's that rain that woke me up the other day, the kind that came through here at work in Redwood in Franklin County late this morning. Came through and it makes a lot of noise, kind of grabs your attention like, whoa, now that's some rain. Very efficient rainfall. The freezing level in the cloud is limited. The cloud depth, the moisture, the warm cloud, the amount of the cloud above freezing is very high and very deep, and that allows for all that rain to be very efficient. So we look at the maps here and we try to see what's going to happen throughout the day. Now I'm going to go to the rapid update cycle, goes out a little bit farther in time. This is the new 0Z. And again, our main low is going to be coming out here, but remember, we've got an overall dip in the jet stream. As we go past midnight, as we get into the early morning hours, this model also showing a flare-up. So there's some forcing going on, it appears. By around 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, there must be some synoptic forcing going on. Probably an embedded shortwave within this long wave trough here. And probably we're also getting some forcing from below because remember, our cold front is to our north, but by the time you're watching this, it could be moving through your backyard from north to south. This is more than likely a combination of upper level forcing and the front starting to move in from the north and set up across the southwest foothills into the Piedmont of North Carolina. So 5 a.m. it's raining pretty good. 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., there you go. Moderate rain falling through here. Nothing tremendously heavy, but the model is maybe out of the scope of the model's handling of moisture. But on the RAP model, whenever I see yellow, I look at the moderate rainfall is what I'm looking at. And with the air as moist as it is, I think that's going to just be a soaking rain. And I think that probably, by mid-morning tomorrow, there's going to be at least some flood advisories in effect. And I'm talking about Virginia, down into the Carolinas, even in the West Virginia here. Maybe even up around D.C., because that moisture will be spreading north. There's some question about how far north it gets into Pennsylvania. But we're going to fast forward past the morning hours now and also look at the cell movement here. And again, these won't really be cells as much as it'll just be areas of rain. But notice where the rain forms, it doesn't move. I'm toggling, and I'm not toggling, I'm jogging back and forth here. I need to do some jogging. I've gained some quarantine weight. But from the morning into the early afternoon, watch Franklin County. Right there. Watch that yellow. It does not move much. It's a combination of this wedge holding it in from the northeast, so it holds it to the south, and then you've got your upper level winds coming in from the south at a light direction. So the net result's going to be to keep those areas of rain in place. It's not going to be an in and out system. It's going to be a very slow moving system. It'll take probably until this time tomorrow night, Saturday night, get the heaviest rain through here. This is some nice fall-like air across the northeast, by the way, that's driving this whole pattern. And you've got the moisture down here, so anytime that happens, you know you're going to be in for some trouble. But the rain continues, and it may let up a little bit from northeast to southwest. This is at the far end of the RAP model. But I like to look at all the models and consider everything. There may be a warm sector still across western North Carolina into southwest Virginia, and a more stable air mass here across Lynchburg and even in the Roanoke and Danville. Let's look at that real fast. This is the dew point lifted index. I actually want to look at it this way. Surface bound cape will show that very well. So a little bit of cape over us tonight. That's storm energy. That again allows for anything tomorrow morning to have a little bit of energy in fuel to work with. 640 joules per kilogram ain't bad for 5 in the morning. And you're going to have some lift with the front. Now this is the front, more than likely where the white meets the purple here, where you no longer have any instability driven as a result of the surface. What's at the surface is no longer surface based. It could still be elevated, but we'll get in that in just a second. It's a wedge of cool air coming down, and that's your cold front. So this is, let's see, 10 o'clock in the morning. It banks right up, the front does, right up against the Blue Ridge Parkway into Roanoke Rapids, North Carolina, down across southern West Virginia here. And again, as I was just kind of guessing there, looks like there could be, a warm front or a cold front or a stalled front, depending on how you would analyze this. It's all the same thing depending on which way the front's moving. But the boundary would be from Giles County through Martinsville into the northern counties in the North Carolina. And you've got low pressure here, that'll be near Bristol. So we could have some stronger severe storms even, I think, in the southwest part of the state. That's going to be limited to how much instability we can actually use. The main thing, I think, is going to be the heavy rainfall. But this also sets up just the fact that you're going to have two competing air masses. And if you look at the temperature here, we're going to cool down into the 60s by morning. We get to about 71 maybe, and that's in Roanoke. But look at the day on Saturday. Temperatures all day. This is by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's still only 69 in Roanoke. In fact, that temperature went down 2 degrees from the morning because of all the rain. Again, low pressure's down here. Outside of the clouds, it's still hot, mid to upper 80s, but we're going to be socked in. You've got a flow here coming out of the east, northeast, off the Chesapeake Bay, and it really helps to also lock in that moisture, but it helps to enhance the rainfall because when you have still the high amount of temperature and moisture combo aloft, you create a slope for that, and that also leads to heavier rainfall. Dew point temperature, I like to look at this at about 5,000 feet because sometimes you can negate what you just saw at the surface. So we're going to look just off the ground. And the red arrows are the vectors for that wind. There's not a lot of movement at 8:50 tomorrow. It just isn't. So, we're talking about slow-moving areas of rain, very soupy air there in the purple. All right. And just for the heck of it, let's go with total precip accumulation for the wrap. And it's got a bullseye, and a lot of models have this bullseye of 3 to 4.19 inches of rain near the Floyd County, Franklin County, Cahays Mountain area in the Roanoke County. A good solid, if you were just look at the overall area here, over an inch to an inch and a half, but localized areas of 3.5 inches of rain plus possible here. Now this is the new 0Z NAM. It's only it's a young model. It's only 12 hours old, but this gets us into the morning hours where it's still showing showers and thunderstorms, possibly as early as 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. So this could be an early morning thing, but it's going to last throughout the day, I think, because if I go to the 18Z run, you can see that's the morning stuff coming through. Heavy rainfall, heavy thunderstorms. In wake of that, you just have areas of rain that continue all day. Now, not everyone will see rain all day, but I think overall, yeah, it's going to just be a super soaker of a day. Could be a lull, and then we get this, notice we do see a little bit of a lull, and then a re-intensification here of the rainfall as we go into the evening hours of Saturday. That's why I said through Saturday night, because there will be the main low. And especially at 8:50 at 5,000 feet coming in from North Carolina, that main low comes in and enhances rainfall over us Saturday night. Kind of the wraparound effect here going into Sunday. And then you've got the front off to the west Sunday as well. I did want to show you, let's see. This is the lower resolution now, but again, sometimes when you're dealing with this kind of a forecast, that looks a little bit more like I think the radar is going to look. There's going to be a lot of rain around. I can visualize moderate rainfall, a lot of yellow and orange on the rainfall, and I can visualize that raining over the same areas for 3 or 4 hours, and there being some flood advisories, some ditches full, things of that nature. I can visualize also within that or around it, I can visualize storms tomorrow that will be developing over top of the cool dome, where you're going to see red and even purple on radar, probably just red, but you're going to see some isolated areas where it's flash flood warnings, rivers or streams and creeks. And then throughout the whole event, I can visualize other areas of red and orange on the radar developing again as we go, and maybe even red a lot as we go into Saturday night with the main 850 low, and that's what I'm going to show you here. That would cause some problems because that is going to be the grand finale of this event, I believe. This is the humidity, relative humidity. High values are in white, the dry air is in black, and there is none. But as you go into Saturday, this is tomorrow morning, so mid-morning at 5,000 feet, mind you, the surface front we analyzed from Blacksburg down into Roanoke Rapids, remember? But the front at 5,000 feet will be analyzed from I-64 down across Richmond. It'll be a little bit behind, and that's just because of the friction and because different layers of the atmosphere do different things. But you can see the convergence here clearly. And so this may be an area here by mid-morning where we start to see a lot in the way of some heavier rainfall. This convergence will continue to increase almost from north to south, even though the moisture will be moving the opposite way. The convergence, because of the frontal forcing, will be spreading over back to the south, back building almost. And that could lead to some back building of the rain as well with time tomorrow, is what that tells me, and that could mean training of heavier rainfall and the potential for flash flooding. And you got to forgive me for talking out loud. This is how I do my map discussions. I think out loud, and so I don't really prime myself up for a 3.5-minute weathercast like I did when I was on television. This is more of a scientific look at stuff. But hopefully it gives you an idea of the seriousness of the situation. I think a lot of areas are going to flood tomorrow into tomorrow night. Now, keep an eye on the swirl. That's where the low pressure area is going to be as we go into Saturday night. There is low pressure here across Boone, North Carolina. This is at 2 a.m. on Sunday. And there's another lobe of that low here across eastern Virginia, but there's plenty of moisture in place still for Saturday night. And one of the things I was looking at showed, let's see, let me go to pivotal weather real quick. Actually, I'm going to go to my Patreon because I worked hard on this post today. And so if you want to give me $1 a month, I will give you, I'm trying to do a post a day now. Starting now. I'll do, when it's necessary, I'll do some posts, but I'm trying to do more hands-on stuff here as we go with time here. So let me show you what I've got up. I got the flash flooding and flooding, talked about the moderate risk. This is what I wanted to kind of show you earlier. It's a little bit hard to see there. I embedded it within my typeface, but let me show you here. All right, so this is the, I think it's the 3-day rainfall off the NOAA EDD. And it's hard to see, but it's color-coded here as well. These are the heavier amounts there in the pink, but you've got a network after network after network. There's like 15 networks of precip on here, of OBS. Some of them are around an inch, some of them are under an inch. Fair amount are around 1 to 2 to up to 3 inches, but there are some spots in here of up to 6 inches, depending on where these numbers have, come from and exactly where those showers and thunderstorms developed over the past couple of days. That's just to show you that there are sporadic, if there are vulnerable spots, they're very sporadic right now, but they're going to become more widespread with that heavier rain moving in. This is the precipitable water, 2 inches or more. This is the forecast for tomorrow, so you can see a lot of that, and that's about 180% of normal. Soil moisture is at about 100 to 120% of normal. Our 1 hour flash flood guidance is around 1 inch to 1.5 inches to close to an inch, inch and a half across the mountains. Then you get out of the mountains across south side, and it's more like 1 to 3 inches in an hour. But the thing is, you know, you're going to see this over a 6 to 12 to 24 or even 30-hour period. You're going to see some flash flooding out there. So this is more dealing with the imminent threat through early morning of those heavier downpours. The overall system is still here, and that's the trough in the jet stream. This is what I wanted to show you. This is the 850 millibar low that lines up well with what you're about to see on the Euro. The Euro has been showing the past 4 runs of the solid area of really heavy rain coming in almost directly out of the south and leading in right up to the Roanoke Valley area, almost where the RAP model just showed us that bullseye. And one of the reasons is you can see some 30-knot wind here coming in out of the east, and that's just on the north side of the mid-level low. And because of that, you see a bullseye here of 5.9 up to about 10 inches of rain in northern Franklin County. Not saying that's going to happen, but look around it. You see 3.5 to 4.5 inches all around it. And I'm going to show you that on a better view here. Because I want to show you different runs of this model. Every 12 hours, the Euro's been showing us something like that. So this was this afternoon's run, and that's a 10-inch dot right there over Boone's Mill. You can't take that to heart. You just have to know that's the trend. And this comes in, let's see, you know, it rains all day. Tomorrow you get about 1/2 inch to 1.5 inches of rain. By the end of the day tomorrow, some areas could be looking at over 4 inches of rain. And this is right in the area that wouldn't need it. That runs right off in the Floyd County, but especially in the Franklin County. That's a lot of trouble. And even on the North Fork of the Roanoke River, that would mean some trouble for the Blackwater and the Pig River, especially in Franklin County. But if you go through time here, you can see that is from, this is accumulated 12-hour rainfall. Keeps adding on here. So between 8 p.m. Saturday, I'm sorry, 6 hours. So between 8 p.m. and 2 a.m. Sunday, that's how much rain falls in addition there. So you go from 2.4 to 4.9 in Roanoke. So a lot of this rain is still going to be falling after 8 p.m. Saturday. But let's look at the old model run. Okay, so this is from early this morning, not this afternoon. Same model, same domain here, same parameter. Much the same. You got to go out a little bit further, the older the model is, right, to see this. But about 1 inch of rain for Saturday. Now, the bullseye isn't in the same place, but it's there. So what is it doing? Well, it's got 2 to 4.5 inches of rain through Saturday night, early Sunday for a good part of our area. But there's a bullseye. Once again, it's the same kind of thing. It's near the area. It's a little bit farther displaced south and west, but it's near Sparta, North Carolina, of 8.3 inches and even up to 11 inches. Let's just go to yesterday afternoon's computer model run. And look, there's another bullseye. I say don't pay careful attention to exactly where it is, but this one's over Gretna, and that's about 1 foot of rain. Let's go back in time again. Are you seeing the trend here? Depends on each model run, but now I'm looking at the 0Z 4 model runs ago, and this is off the Euro, still showing that bullseye somewhere over us of 5 to 10 to as much as 12 inches of rain through Saturday night. This isn't all weeks. These numbers sometimes can mean all week rain. I've only got it out here 78 hours. This is the 12Z off the 12th. But look, it's in the same place. Isn't that amazing? Close to 1 foot of rain. That really makes me worry. And what I think it's doing is it's looking at the mid-level low. Where is it at? And what's going to be happening to it north of it. How's our precip looking there? So this was 5 runs ago. There is some consistency, and that the model is showing. That's 5 runs ago. Let's go to the current one if I haven't locked it up. Kind of a similar setup here. So that's the potential that we're going to be in. Here's the deep moisture off the GFS. deep layer moisture can get you some heavy rain too. So this is our moisture that we're in right now, that we've been in today. There goes Kyle. Here comes the main forcing through Nashville. And then as we go through Saturday night, and even into early Sunday, finally the drier air gets in here. But I tell you what, we could be looking at a ton of rain, literally, and that could be bad news. Some of the SWVA guidance, this is the short-term ensemble, short-range ensemble, takes us through Sunday now. And this is looking, you're looking at a blend here. But even on a blend, the numbers seem to be lower, usually when you look at a blend and an average. But 3.65 for Roanoke, close to 3 for Southside. And this is additional rainfall on what we've already had the past couple of days. If you look at it, let's see, that was the mean. Let me go to the ARW version of that, which is like 1/2 of the model. And you've got that bullseye again showing up over the parkway. Likely that's some upslope enhancement because of the wedge pattern that we're in. But even in northwest North Carolina, 4 to 5, and the this kind of a brownish gray tone here in Floyd County, that's 5 to 6 inches of rainfall. And again, that's blending several models together off the short range ensemble. Then if you look off of this version of it, it's a little bit farther displaced in the Nelson County. I think just about everybody through here up against the Blue Ridge will probably look at 3-inch plus rainfall. That's just the way it's looking. You get a much different picture if you look at the WRF. And I'm not particularly, I think this is a slightly higher resolution model, but it shows you the drier air, the cooler air that won't hold as much moisture, keeping it somewhat stable. And again, these are all just models here, just to give you an idea. Through Saturday night, in fact, under an inch of rain, under 1/2 an inch of rain around Richmond. But if you look here as a fire hose somewhat, we got the low down here and the moisture coming in out of the southeast in your lift. Some of these, you can't ignore these spots. 5.97. This isn't to say everybody gets that. And according to this, Roanoke gets 1.89. One of the challenges in forecasting nowadays isn't to share the most ominous looking model. It's to understand the strengths and weaknesses of said models and to understand the range of possibilities that exist. So let's look at Meteograms, because I want to show you kind of what I'm talking about here. And I love Weather Bill for this. I'll go to our short range ensemble. This is for one specific area. If you look at, I want to look at the Euro Ensemble 24-hour QPF. So we're looking at 50 different runs of the same model that's tweaked 50 different times. And in 24-hour chunks, how much rain do we have? And then the average of that's down here. So you can see all the heavy rain coming into Saturday into Sunday. But you can see through this, you can see, that's each individual ensemble member here, showing you close to an inch in most of these cases, but some of them have 4.9, 4.5, 2.7, 2.4, 2.0, and then you follow that up again with another chunk here. I believe these are, they're 24 hours, so that takes us through, I think these may be overlapping some, but shows us what's going on. This is the 18Z run through Sunday. Because Sundays we're going to have some, Sunday we'll have some showers and thunderstorms around as well. This is the 12Z run, which has more time to it, so it scrunches it up. Notice the drier air coming in here for Monday and the Tuesday. And then scattered showers returning middle of the week. But right through here, this is your plot, your precipitable water, up around 2 inches, where you see, each run of this going out to time. You see the drier air coming in, and that's why I've got lower humidity coming in here for Monday and Tuesday. But yeah, it's going to rain a lot. And listen, it's there are totals here now. Once you go to the totals, so by Sunday morning, you know, anywhere between 1.8, at least about an inch, but you're looking at close to 1 to 5 inches possible. I'd say 1 to 4 is a good bet. And so my guess would be that the National Weather Service will put some kind of a flood watch out for just about everybody as this rainfall continues to advance in. So I know that's way more than you ever wanted to know. The circulation around the Kyle will also kind of help drive in that wedge and that cooler air. But there's your technical discussion. I'm going to also jump on Facebook here in just a second because I used this, if you couldn't tell by my fumbling my words and everything, as a practice run for my live report that I'm going to do in a second on Facebook. But this is the technical discussion, and you get it here. Rain in the morning. It's already raining heavily in northwest North Carolina. That's not going to be good. We're going to have some flooding problems out there, folks. Clean out the rain gauges and get ready. More updates to come.